Hi, guys. This is Carrie again with Fullerton Professional Organizing, where we declutter our faith, we declutter our home, and we declutter our business. And this episode is part of our Work Wednesday, where we talk about business. And I have a special guest, and I'm going to go ahead and just let her start by introducing herself and go from there.
Hey, thanks. It's so good to be chatting with you, Carrie. My name is Liz Fackelman. Hi, everybody. And I work with overwhelmed female entrepreneurs to go from overwhelmed to optimize. So, a little background on how I got to where I am today as a professional organizer. So, my love language is acts of service. And as a follower of Jesus, I wanted to share his love through serving others. And organizing and decluttering was a natural gift of just how God gifted me. And so it was a natural fit. And so my story starts back. I graduated from Duke Engineering School in 1985 in, yes, I am 61. And I began my career
Oh
in
my.
computer engineering. But after 5 years in corporate America and startups, the stress was intense. And God called me to be a stay-at-home mom for 22 years as I raised a family of 5 children. Now, in 2012, with only two still in the home, I used a program called 48 Days to the Work You Love to evaluate my next steps. And organizing stood out as something I'd always loved, both professionally and as a volunteer. And the
Awesome. What was,
career offered, pardon?
oh, sorry. Say what that was again that you used to evaluate.
48 Days to the Work You Love.
Oh, awesome.
And of course, the career offers the flexibility that I needed. It
Mhm.
fulfilled my passion for helping others. So
Mhm.
in 2013, I founded Davidson Organizing in the college town of Davidson, which is just north of Charlotte, North Carolina. And over the years, as I've been doing all this organizing in people's homes and office, I realized that paper clutter and
Mm,
filing and finding paper was a source of frustration for even my most organized clients.
yes.
And the traditional filing systems were just too complicated, took too many hours to set up. And from my standpoint, even as an organizer in my own office, I found them they were a pain to maintain. And I knew there had to be a better way. An example is here I am an organizer with a label maker at hand's reach right behind me, and the file folder in my for my son who's now 20 is still labeled baby. We all know who the baby is in the family. He's the
Yeah.
youngest of the five, but I've never gotten around to relabeling it. Anyways, I was looking for a solution. There had to be a more efficient, better way, and that's how I stumbled upon that better way at the Productive Environment Institute, which I call PEI for short. And so in 2021, I became certified through Productive Environment Institute, and I chose them because I chose my certification there and do my training there because the founder and the CEO are both Christians who openly share their faith. And now through the Institute, I can serve clients across the globe with virtual productivity and office organizing programs. I can do group coaching, I can do one on one coaching. It just allows me to reach a broader audience. Um, my typical client is a female entrepreneur who's buried in piles of paper, struggling with a dysfunctional to do list, is overwhelmed by thousands of emails in their inbox.
Mm.
And so we implement proven systems that work for even the most disorganized person. In
Well,
fact,
I think that's great because that's an area as an organizer that I am not. I tell my clients I'm pretty good at everything except for the digital organizing. So that would be a really great thing to talk about with my clients and well, the global audience.
yeah, and the founder, Barbara Hempel, she has 46 years experience. She was the one of the first organizers ever. She was the starter, founder of, got involved with NAPO. I mean, there wasn't NAPO when she was involved, which is the national, I can't even remember what the initials are, but um, So she has 46 years experience. She also has ADHD,
Mm,
and she needed systems that worked for her brain. And so
yes.
the thing I like about when we implement these systems is they work for even the most disorganized people. They work for people with ADHD. Um, and I needed a solution that didn't just work for someone like myself that might be have the organizing gene, but for people that really struggle.
Mhm.
So I love that I can still do my one-on-one, and I still do that. But now, through Productive Environment Institute, I can offer this group coaching, and it allows me to earn income that's not tied to how many hours I can work one-on-one. So it's
Mm.
scalable, it's faith aligned, and it's transformational for my client. And if there's an organizer out there listening to this, and this, as I share what I do, if any of this resonates and you're interested, you can reach out to me and I can help you get connected and learn more about joining us as a certified productive environment specialist.
Wow, I love that. So now let me ask you this. You teach it through this program, or that's just where you got certified and now you teach it, you have group coaching or one-on-one coaching or both?
We offer group coaching and one-on-one. Certainly, I do the one-on-one. With the group coaching, it is usually not me that's the point person, it's somebody else.
Oh,
However, I can be on those group coaching calls and I can add my 2 cents worth and certainly break out with somebody. And when
mhm.
I say group coaching, we're not talking 100 people, we're talking, 10 at a
Oh, yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
people get some individualized, they get that individualized attention, but we can always do some breakouts and do that one-on-one. So I both got certified and went through the whole training program through them, but then I also offer these programs that they have created. So I did not reinvent the wheel. That was something very important to me. I did not want to create video content. I didn't want to create courses myself. And I felt like theirs were excellent. So there was no reason for me to do it myself.
Okay. Now, have you had other organizers learn this system through your coaching, or
Yeah.
mostly client, just
No, yes, I
they
did.
do
I
it in
do
their
have
own?
a colleague that's about an hour north of me that did join, and she is now a certified productive environment specialist also.
Okay. So good.
And then yes, I've had clients that have gone through, come through the program.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, since I am not good in that area, that might be something to later contact you and get certified in. Sounds great. Okay, I'll let you continue. I just wanted to ask and clarify on that.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that I find that people get stuck on is getting started.
Yes.
Um, they get overwhelmed, they don't know where to start. And so at the Productive Environment Institute, we simplify that sorting process for our clients so that those initial steps are easier.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call it the sort process FAT, and they have just recently changed it to ART, which I kind of like better.
Mm-hmm.
ART just sounds more creative, and
Yes.
I like that versus FAT. But ART stands for action, reference, and toss.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. Any piece of paper, any email, or even any item in your home or office can be sorted using this matrix. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for paper or email, the question is, do you need to take action on it?
Mm-hmm.
So if so, it's going to go in an action file that is within reach when you're at your desk. Or if it's an action email, we need to somehow process it such that, hey, flag it. I got to take action on this. I mean, the simplest is just to flag it, but there are other systems that we can implement. Um, Now, for items that you use, let's say we're talking items in your home or office, if you use them less than, if you use them regularly, we need them to have, let's say once a month at least, we need those items to have a home that's easy to get to. Now, in the organizing world, we call this prime real estate. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to retrieve and put away the items that you use on a regular basis. So now, if the paper or email is something you just need to keep just in case you're not ready to get rid of it, or you might need to refer to it, we call those reference files. Reference emails, reference papers, those go in a reference file. And while it would be nice to have them within arm's reach, they don't have to be. And again, even for items that you don't use on a regular basis, those need to find a home that may be a little harder to reach. That's the top of your closet shelf. It might be examples of reference items are things that you use on a very rarely, such as holiday decor. You use them once a year, and that's an excellent example. Now, we did A and R, and now we're at T, and T means toss. And toss can mean trash, but it also could be recycling, shredding, donating, or giving to somebody that, somebody in particular that you have an idea that you want to give the item to. But I have found that if you keep the sorting process simple, just think ART, it has significantly helped me, and it also has helped my clients to reduce the overwhelm and to reduce the decision making when they're doing the decluttering and organizing process. And even when I'm working with clients one-on-one, I might have them simply sort into the ART, or even for their household or office items. It's like, is it something I work with regularly? Is it I act on it, act with it? Is it reference, we can put it away, or is it toss? And then I'm responsible for then taking the toss and doing the sort as to shred. Is this a donate? And what are we doing with it? And that for my clients can sometimes help a lot, that they make that initial decision of ART, but then within those categories, I'm setting up the systems for them, or I am discarding in the correct way, whatever is, I deem is the best way. So I have found that to be just simplifying that decision-making process is really helpful.
Okay, yeah, I have heard of the target used in that same analogy. The bullseye would be, the stuff that you need daily, and then it expands to the things that you need occasionally and the things that you need in storage as a resource. But does that also include your digital? I know you mentioned email.
Yes. There's a whole digital world out there.
Inside the computer and organizing people's files. That's the part that I struggle with. Yeah, and paperwork a little bit, just because it's kind of a tedious thing, correct? It's kind of something that takes more elaborate time span to do, but it's very necessary, very necessary.
So we have two solutions at PEI to address both the tedious stuff and then the you talked about digital, and then stuff being all over. So at PEI we have a tool called the SOAR board, SOAR, and it's a digital place to capture all the tasks, all the things we need to remember, and within this digital platform you can prioritize everything. It's both simple and it's powerful. It's on a very easy to use platform that most people can pick up pretty quickly. At age 61, I do not rely on my memory. I do what a lot of people call it a brain dump. You may have heard of the brain dump, and get everything out of your brain and write it all down. Well, in this case, we're actually putting it in the digital tool, the SOAR board. And we call the technique of, instead of brain dump, we call it capture quest to make it more fun. It just sounds better, capture quest. You're on a quest to capture what tasks are hidden in emails, the sticky notes on your desk, the projects that are weighing you down, that are just cluttering your brain. You're on a quest, you're going to capture them, and you're going to capture them in the SOAR board. So everything is in one place. And most importantly, it's out of your brain. And you can focus and not have to keep remembering things. So that is one. The tool is the SOAR board. The technique is what we call the capture quest. And then as far as the tedious, because some of this, can be tedious, and that would be what we call working in community. And I think God created us to be in community. I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to try and do it all ourselves, and we try and do that tedious stuff by ourselves. And the founder of PEI is, as I mentioned, is Barbara Hempel. One of her mottos is "Together we are better." And I have adopted her motto. And so while I do offer the organizing and productivity sessions in person, I have seen the benefits of the group training, the group coaching, and it far exceeds the one-on-one sessions. There's something powerful about a community. It's powerful that you realize you're not alone. And we have found that being in a community, working together on the organizing, the decluttering, and the setting up of systems is astronomically more powerful than doing it on your own. I think God designed us for community. And one of the ways this works, just to kind of give you a picture of it, is we do what we call co-working. And co-working is usually about an hour. It's via Zoom because we're all over the country. In fact, some of us are all over the world. And we do it on a regular basis. And the concept is similar to body doubling. And that's a powerful tool used for clients with ADHD. It also borrows from the Pomodoro technique, which again is used by people with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
So we combine the body doubling and the Pomodoro technique. And it's not just for people with ADHD. It's for people like myself that don't have ADHD, but like to may procrastinate, may get distracted, or just have a project or task we don't feel like doing. So at the beginning of the co-working session, each person briefly says what their goal is, what they want to accomplish. And then we work for 25 minutes. There's a timer on the screen. It's via Zoom. So there's a screen there. You see the timer, but we go on mute. We work on what we said we're going to work on. And then after the 25 minutes, we take a 5-minute break and we reflect. And sometimes I realize I got very distracted and I didn't do anything I'd said I was going to accomplish. And that's okay, because only 25 minutes went by. And I have a chance to then regroup, reassess, say, okay, this next 25 minutes, I really am going to, do this project or do this task. And a lot of times people will get up, get a drink, stretch, walk around the house or whatever, but you just keep going at it as you have time. It's a really fun way to work on tasks together, that you're not alone. And also that built-in accountability is just powerful. So as I said, together we are better.
Yeah, I love that because I am the one that was not naturally organized, hence going to the library 35 years ago and making sure that I was a newlywed. So I was making sure I could get it done and just learning. And I used to be a teacher. I have ADHD, but because I was a teacher, of course, I was able to fix the things. I just didn't procrastinate. And because I was fascinated with organizing, that all helped me. And I don't really have that many issues with ADHD, but I didn't even know I had it back then. It wasn't until my son was diagnosed, and then I found out that other family members were diagnosed, one in the military. And so the Pomodoro, the timers, simple steps, everything that you've mentioned in here is really very helpful for those with ADHD. I think that is super great. And community also, because that's what helps you get past that start position. You have other people similar to you that you're helping together, helping each other together. You're doing it together. I think that's great. Well, now, how long have you been an organizer, and altogether, how long have you been in business?
So I started my business in 2013.
Oh, okay.
And then in 2020, during those 4 months, we couldn't work in person with people. I got additional training in a field called collectibles advising. And so I help my clients decide, do they donate it or can they sell it? And if they can sell it, I find them the best venue to sell it at. I really specialize in gold and silver. Amazingly, I do buy gold and silver. But that's about a third of my business. And then a third would be Productive Environment Institute. And another 2/3 would be my in-person. I'm coming up with more hours in a day than there are, but another part is the in-person organizing and in-office organizing. And as I said, in 2021 is when I got certified and started with the Productive Environment Institute. So somewhat recent, but I have a good 4 years under my belt now, and I feel really comfortable doing it.
Yes, that's the most important part right there, is if you're comfortable with it, you can also teach others, and I say teach because the teacher background, but coach, you can coach others in that. Um, well, what are some areas that you now, how do you incorporate your faith in with your business? I've talked to other organizers where, I tell them that I don't, I mean, I don't hide my faith, but I'm very respectful at clients' homes. I'm not gonna step outside my boundary professionally. I do have some clients that have asked me to pray with them. How do you incorporate your faith in with your business?
I think it just depends on the client. Certainly, when my clients that are coming through Productive Environment Institute, um, Barbara Hempel is on a mission to share her faith. And
Mm.
so anyone going through that program will hear about Jesus. I mean,
Yeah, I
she's
love
just
that.
very bold, and that is her mission. She's, obviously an older woman, and that is, what her passion is sharing Jesus.
Mhm.
So from that standpoint, I have her. But then uh, with clients, it's more about me just bringing peace into the environment, a calm into the environment. It's about me trusting in the Lord with all my heart and leaning not on my own understanding, but in all my ways submitting to Him, and He makes my path straight.
Yeah.
So I am leaning on God. I am trusting that He will help me through some overwhelming situations. I do work with clients with hoarding behaviors, and I have worked in even the most severe where you can't walk through the home. And I'm wearing a hazmat suit, and we're bringing in junk luggers to literally scoop up the filth. So I've walked into a lot of overwhelming situations, and God has guided me. I often want to run away, but God reminds me He put me there. And it is my job to put on a poker face, to not shame that client, to help bring compassion, understanding, especially in the hoarding or more challenging where it's not their fault. They may have had a trauma that triggered it. There's some mental health issues going on. So bringing Jesus into the space, even though I'm not necessarily talking about Jesus, I will say that if I have openings and let's say I see a lot of Christian books, I see Bibles around, that is a little bit different story. If somebody wants a do-it-yourself program, one of my other mentors is Eileen Koff. She was a founder of, along with Barbara Hempel, they were founders of Faithful Organizers, which is how we met. And she wrote a book called Get Organized God's Way,
Mm.
Bring Order into Every Area of Your Life. And just like a functional medicine doctor addresses the root causes of diseases, Eileen unveils the lies, the deeper problems that are underneath the piles of possessions that we have. And so she makes the point in her book that clutter is a spiritual issue
Mhm.
and decluttering is a spiritual journey. If
Mhm.
you think about it, when you're letting go of something, you're trusting that if you need it again, God will provide, that maybe you can borrow
Yeah.
it from a friend, or you really won't need it again. So there's a lot you can bring God into that faith journey. And so, when I have those openings, maybe somebody's a Christian, but they've never thought about the fact that their decluttering is a faith journey.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. I highly recommend, although I don't know which episode she talks about her the reason, but A Hoarder's Heart on YouTube. She talked about how she never felt worthy, she never felt pretty, she never felt worthy, and her things made her feel that way. And she had to unveil the process that she is valuable. She is a valuable human being just because God created her. She has value. That our things are great. They're just not who we are. They're not our identity. They're not our value. And I think that's the faith journey I like to teach people, because a lot, like you said, some of it comes from trauma, not all of it. Some of it just comes from having kids and busy lives. And, because I know moms that have 5 kids and every one of them are in 3 sports instead of just one, and they're never home to, you know, contain
Yeah.
the clutter. Some of
So
it's.
So what you're talking about in this second situation is situational
Mm-hmm.
disorganization. They're disorganized, like I was, not totally disorganized, but with 5 children, there can be some chaos. The more blessings you have in the life, the more challenges and the challenges and the you have more opportunities for chaos, the more blessings you have in your life. So yeah, there's that temporary, we call it situational disorganization, and then there's chronic disorganization. And I
Yes.
do work with both. Sometimes situational is because people are working too many hours. Sometimes it's they just had a baby. Anything, a parent just died and they're having to clean out the house.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of situational, and then there are people who have ADHD or have been disorganized their entire life, and we call that more chronic disorganization.
Yes, yes. We don't want our audience to think that we think they all have mental health issues,
No.
but that's not what we're trying to say. There are lots of different reasons. And well, we're in our last 10 minutes. So just so our audience knows that sometimes just because we're super organized doesn't mean we don't have struggles in organization. Can you pick an area that you're the least organized and the most organized?
Most organized is definitely my files because of what I've learned from the Productive Environment Institute, and ironically, I was very reluctant and resistant to changing over to their methods because I had a method that worked for me, sort of, except for, remember we talked about that baby file. I really wasn't always maintaining things and refiling and renaming things, so yeah, maybe it wasn't really working for me, but I was very resistant. And then once I learned their system, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much easier. So that's probably the most organized is filing system, my paper.
Yeah.
The challenges I have is with fatigue. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism in 2015, and fatigue. This was in the middle of, my career was with organizing was pretty new, and I was extremely fatigued, low in testosterone. That's your get stuff done hormone. I didn't feel like getting stuff done. I was really struggling. And whenever my thyroid hormone levels are low, I feel like I can barely get out of bed, much less help others, much less do everything that it takes to run a business. Ended up having thyroid cancer that was diagnosed in 2016. I actually healed the thyroid cancer. It shrunk down to 1 millimeter using alternative treatments, which following those alternative treatments took a lot of time away from my business. And so, um, and since having my thyroid out, I'm dependent for medication to be even and to give me the energy I need. And there have occasionally been times when a doctor will change my medicine, and I will not have that energy. And what I've learned is that when you don't have the energy, it's hard to make decisions. And when you don't make decisions, the clutter builds up. Barbara Hempel has actually trademarked the phrase, clutter is postponed decisions.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, we don't have much longer, and I don't want to get cut out in the middle of the sentence. So let us know how they can contact you, all your social medias, and we're also going to put it in the description. But I don't know exactly how many minutes we have, so I think it's safer to just kind of wrap it up.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just invite people to go to davidsonorganizing.com. The office page has a quiz called the Productive Environment Scorecard. It's a quick, insightful quiz. After completing the quiz, you will receive a personalized score, a downloadable tool, guides with targeted questions. I mean, it's completely free, and honestly, it's worth the weight in gold. So that's on my office page. You could also then, after you've gotten the emails, you've tried it out, you can schedule a complimentary call with me. Plus, we have a 12-minute free training call called Less Clutter, More Life. And it's at productiveenvironment.com/webinar. Now, when prompted, just type in Liz, that I'm the one that set you, because I'm the only Liz at the Productive Environment Institute at this point. So I have lots of free resources on my website. Again, it's davidsonorganizing.com. I probably shouldn't make them free, but I do. And as I said, the office page is kind of where you would find out more about the Productive Environment Institute and what we do there. But my website has all sorts of resources, from how to, do you have things that are valuable in your home to things like tips for do-it-yourself organizing.
Awesome, awesome. All right, and we'll have that in the description. Liz will send me that information and I can put that in the description. So look out for this. Oh, well, I'm telling them to look out for this in 2 weeks, but they're not going to see this until it comes out in 2 weeks. But anyway, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and I appreciate it. And it was very informative. I loved all the information you shared.
My pleasure. Great talking with you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.